Hello and welcome to my discussion of There is No Such Thing as Natural Disasters, in which we will discuss two articles written about the subject and an analysis of Hurricane Harvey. To begin, my natural hazard statement is natural hazards are unpreventable, but natural disasters only occur as such when human involvement gets into marketing them for the purpose of money and expanding their lifestyle instead of protecting the ever so fragile environment. The arguments presented by Neil Smith are how things caused by the government, despite warnings from scientists, the vulnerability of different parts of the society contributing to, and the unpreparedness of the government and locals in preparing for natural hazards and becoming natural disasters led to the impact of Hurricane Katrina on the Gulf Coast and New Orleans. In my second article from Popular Science, written by Kendra Pierre-Lewis, she argues that natural hazards are defined more as, quote, disasters through the human element that alleviates what happens when they occur. She uses examples from Hurricane Harvey in Houston, which we will discuss later in this PowerPoint, and how it was predicted due to their lack of preparedness in flood-prone areas. And she uses this same example for Hurricane Sandy on the New Jersey coast and how the government relocated those less fortunate out to the islands. But now we are going to begin our discussion on Hurricane Harvey and how it fits into No Such Thing as Natural Disasters. But first, let's get a little background on Hurricane Harvey. It was the United States' first major hurricane to make landfall in over a decade. It occurred on the Texas Gulf Coast, particularly the Houston Metro and Southeast Texas, where it dumped a year of rain in less than a week on the area. And it occurred in late August 2017, and it dumped copious amounts of rain across the area that were not prepared for such a major flood event. And they were warned of this several years ago by the Corps of Engineers, which led to it becoming a, quote, disaster. So to begin, let's analyze the causes of this becoming a natural disaster. This really stems from the avoidance of the term climate change and how it relates to the impact of Harvey before and after it occurred by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who he explicitly stated that, listen, I'm not a scientist, impossible for me to answer that question. In avoiding this term, we are not finding a solution to ending natural disasters and preventing the loss of life and more property damage from avoiding this term in the media today. So this avoidance of this term is just keeps enforcing the narrative that science is not right in the political scheme of things, and this was, I think, part of it in making Harvey a natural disaster. People didn't believe this was evidence of climate change. Next, we're going to analyze the vulnerability of the Houston metro area, and much of Houston is in a geographic and geological area that is very swampy and marshy and flat, and it does not hold a lot of rainwater. And despite this, they do not have a flood evacuation system in their area by their local government. And to add on top of that, a lot of the people whose homes were flooded were uninsured, which led to the vulnerability of many of the people that live in this area, and as well as the misuse of the land, which we're going to discuss here in our final slide, in which we will talk about the lack of preparation for Hurricane Harvey. And there was a lot of miscommunication between local, state, and federal officials, particularly between Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner. Greg Abbott believed that they should only listen to their local officials rather than hear his own opinion on mandatory or voluntary evacuations from the coast, while Sylvester Turner was like, do not evacuate all at the same time because you would cause an en masse and a traffic nightmare. This miscommunication just leads to a lack of time and preparation for Hurricane Harvey. And also, leading into the preparation, they built areas in flood-susceptible areas that the Corps of Engineers warned would flood during a very, very big rain event such as this one. And areas near oil refineries as well were susceptible to this because of when it would flood, oil and water would get into these homes, which would cause major disasters as well. So, in conclusion, Hurricane Harvey fits into the no such things as natural disasters argument due to its striking similarities in unpreparedness, vulnerability, and causes highlighted throughout the Houston metro area to Katrina. While not as deadly, the impact on lives was still enormous and will take a long time to recover from. And here are my references, and thank you for listening, and that is all.